AFL CEO Gillon McLachlan visited the Glenroy Football Club on Friday as the Trobe University study into the value of community football's findings were released to the public. McLachlan, Glenroy Football Club coach Lance Whitnell, Trobe University's Director of Centre for Sporting Social Impact Professor Russell Hoy, and AFL Victoria's Infrastructure and Planning Manager Rick Bell spoke about the study's findings.
So we did a study of football across Victoria. So we looked at nine football clubs in detail, spoke to more than 110 people, and we came up with sort of a picture, if you like, about all the inputs that go into making a club work. And then we came up with some value statements about what are the outcomes that individuals receive, whether they be increased employment outcomes, greater social connectivity, or greater physical and mental well-being. So we're able to come up with a map, if you like, about how a club operates, and then to work out for every dollar that the club and the community puts into making a club run, is a $4.40 return in sort of social value or outcomes that you could identify that a club generates.
It's fabulous to have a piece of work launched today that quantifies what we know, is that community football clubs have a massive impact on people's lives, and essentially what we have now quantified is that for every dollar spent through institutions like Glenroy and the other 1,100 clubs in Victoria, there's a $4.40 return and $4.40 worth of social value going back to those communities, and that's through the economic impact, through jobs, through social inclusion, through community engagement, and through mental and physical health outcomes. So, it quantifies what we know.
One of the things we're going to do as a result of it, the study came out with the ratio that for every player there's a reach of 10 people in the community. And in the summary data that we've got this diagram that depicts a club with players in the middle, volunteers sort of going out into parents of players, supporters, etc., etc. What we're going to do is create a template for clubs so that they can populate that template with their own club data. So we've always been good at saying how many players we've got. We've got X many teams and we've got X many players, but what we haven't been good at is articulating all the other things that the club's doing off the field, so that this template will be Glenroy Footy Club on a page. Glenroy Footy Club can put in how many players they've got, how many volunteers they've got, how many people come to social functions, how many people come to home games, how many community outreach activities they do, and then walk into council or government and say, this is what we do, simply.
Well, I think what we can actually do is now, when we're talking to other partners about funding and growing our footy community, we actually have something that actually quantifies what we instinctively knew. So, I think it's a great discussion for local government, for state government, for federal government to say, this is what our 2,600 clubs are doing nationally for all Australians.
I think clubs and people involved in footy clubs have always known this stuff, but they've never had any evidence to be able to articulate it. So now they can use the data that we've presented to them and we'll arm them with to be able to make the case. Whereas in the past they might have just verbally made the case, now they've got hard data to back it up. And I think that's the watershed moment that you're talking about. We've actually got some academic research that allows them to make that really strong case to funding partners, sponsors, etc.
Because of the nature of the study, it was relatively easy to gather the data because football club people were really keen to talk about their footy club, obviously. But people outside of those football clubs, and I think it's important to note that we spoke to not just people who run football clubs and participate in them, but the people in their communities who sort of generate or can acknowledge what clubs do. So getting the data and the people to talk about football was easy. And then the survey we ran through AFL Victoria, that was really useful to actually use the club contacts at the 1,100 AFL Victoria footy clubs to actually get them to distribute it for us. So it's always hard to get straight to the heart of the people, if you like, in clubland, but the help of the AFL Victoria system was really useful in that way.